Hello, Harrison.
How are you?
I'm very good.
All right.
How are you?
I'm well.
Thank you for this powerful and joyful show tonight you gave us. So we're on the Musicodrome for a little webzine.
All right.
Internet. And so I was really impressed as like each time I saw Groundation or you in solo by this powerful attitude you have on scene that like you feel your songs. Where does this energy come from?
Yeah, I mean, it comes from life and it comes from the song. You know, I wrote those songs feeling certain emotions, and you have to live the song. In my view of being a singer, you don't just go up there and go through the motions and sing and get paid money. You know, the song means something. And from the very moment it starts, you live that song. That's why I always talk to musicians about the focus. Every beat. Reggae music sounds simple. That's what makes it challenging. It's from that meditative focus. For me, it's easy because I'm the singer. I have to focus. I'm singing this passionate story about justice or about people's freedoms and liberties. And if I don't live it and feel it, then there's no point even starting the song. And as a singer, it's easier, in my mind, it's easy to focus because you live the story, the song, you know? So my music has always been about the struggle for the future, looking for more rights and more justice. So I feel very passionate about that because it's everything. That's our humanity, that's our future, that's our children's inheritance, their world. You have to fight for it, you know? And you don't fight for it when you're 70 years old, and you can't fight for it when you're 15 years old. You gotta fight for it when you're strong and have energy, you know? So when you're in the middle of your life, you have to work hard, not for yourself, but for that message of the future.
So you say during the show that we are at the seat of a revolution, that we are at the middle of a revolution.
Yep.
How do you describe, how do you imagine this revolution?
How do I imagine it? I imagine the revolution a little bit as like a little burning fire that Babylon and the system is trying to stomp out. But when Babylon is stomping it out, it's really casting those sparks further and catching further still. And Babylon right now is trying to follow the sparks and put them out, extinguish them, make them leave. Right now, the system that we're up against, especially in America, is very strong. But the fire is never going to go out. And whenever there's a little bit of smoke, a little bit of spark, yeah, a huge fire can come. So this is what we're waiting for, the moment when the huge fire will break. A fire needs energy. A fire needs fuel. All of the fuel for our fire is here, is ready.
I know you don't expect it, but can it be a violent fire?
Sure it can. Sure it can. It's not that you don't expect it. You don't want it to be like that. You would hope that human decency would overcome a person's mind so that they would be doing things for the good of people and not for money and all of what we see around us. But you see the powers that be are growing strong and having almost like the older generation, the big billionaires and the big corporations and all of this, see that their time is coming to an end and they're getting crazy. They're violently trying to oppress and put out these fires wherever they go. It's like our president, who we have now, he puts these crazy laws. You know, no more immigrants from these places, no more sanctuary cities. Like I come from California, a lot of Mexican people in California, Mexican people who aren't citizens. And this president says, oh, we're going to remove all of you people, you know? And then the court system in California says, no. Tell this president he's crazy, you know? So we give thanks that those balances of power are there. But if people get pushed down hard enough, you will see violence. And I'm not a person for violence, I'm a person for peace. You know, violence can never go anywhere. But just as it says in the United Nations Charter, those of a occupier can be justified using force with the indigenous people. The same with humanity. If you're getting pushed and your rights are getting taken away and you're seeing a lot of your freedoms and your health and these things being at risk, then you gotta resort to anything. That's why there's violence in poor cities in America, the inner cities, black communities, a lot of violence, because there's nothing left to do. A lot of violence in Syria and a lot of violence in Palestine. A lot of violence, throwing stones, out of desperation. Person's back is against the wall, they're going to do anything. So you don't want it to get violent, but it might have to get violent.
You're very committed in the Israel and Palestinian conflict. I think you've been there
sure.
once a time.
Yeah.
And, 36 years after Bob Marley's death, I was thinking, have you ever thought about, or maybe you have ever done this, but have you ever thought about doing a peace concert as he did in Jamaica for Israeli and Palestinian conflict?
Yeah, but they would probably say, what is an American Jew doing to do this peace concert? But the same, sometimes it's outside forces that have to come in. You know what I really wanted to do in my young days? I wanted to have a sound system in East Jerusalem, in Mount Olives, overseeing the old city. Big sound system, chant down Babylon until no more inequalities for people. But you had thought that things would have been getting better, but they are not. And it seems like political strife and political unrest has brought us steps back from even thinking about Israel-Palestine. People are worried about France. People are worried about who's going to be in the government, who's going to be running the place, what kind of laws are they going to be putting forth? Are they going to be limiting rights of citizens? And then who's to think about Palestinian rights, Like in America, we have serious concerns about what this new leader is doing. Horrible. So there's not even any time to even think of those concerns that we were thinking of during Barack Obama's presidency, such as Israel-Palestine. But what Israel is doing is wrong. And the world is afraid to stand up.
On this point, you speak a lot about freedom in your songs or in your speeches. And do you feel free as a man?
I do, but only to a degree. I know that my life is very small, and I know that what we feel we have impact on, we don't really have impact, whether it's elections and government and all these things. I am free as much as I'm able to do what I want to do, but you're only as free as the next person. So if you're not conscious about the freedoms of other, then you're going to have problems overstepping the bounds of freedom. So I don't have problems overstepping my bounds of freedom, I don't want to take away freedom from somebody else. So I'm not here to oppress anybody, So in my thinking of not wanting to limit somebody's freedom, then I am free.
You'll move inside a garden, in the garden, now you're free of time and ego, free of the ego, your next life will come better, yeah. It have to come, yeah, like a miracle just starting. It have to starting, and just like bone, it can bruise, yes.
Except your music, how do you act today for a better world in your daily life?
Well, I do things in my community, whether it's things in local hospitals to play music is what I do. So if I'm able to play music for children who are sick with cancer in the hospital, to give them something fun for that month or whatever. And those are the things that I do. In my younger days, when I didn't have my family, I was more out in the streets, protesting with my signs and my friends and letting our voices be heard. But that was many years ago. And you see that it's really tough to get your voice heard when it comes to politics. Music is the best way because you can talk about certain things that if I was just to stand up and talk about it, this person, But with the music, you reach them in a different way. Almost before they even realize it, they're already moving and singing along. They say, oh, whoa. Like One Dance. Very nice. One dance, baby. But then when you start listening to the lyric, to all of you classes, races, and nations, the riches of the world is just an illusion, is very serious lyrics that are going on.
All of you classes, races, and nations, the riches of this earth is just an illusion. Everywhere you go, you see a revolution. Oh.
One very important thing in your songs is about faith, and I wanted to know, according to the fact that you celebrate Jah Rastafari in your songs, and the fact that you are Jew, maybe it's a very stupid question, I don't know, but how do you combine these two, like this? Your faith is in Haile Selassie, and is it combined?
My faith is me, I have learned a lot from all of the wisdom of the past. There's still endless amounts of wisdom of the past to learn from, whether it be Jew. A lot of my heritage is really honoring my foreparents for having a very difficult life, holding on to this thing called Judaism, this thing called the Torah and these Hebrew things. From Yeshua time, from Jesus time, it's been persecution, running away from country to country to country, from inquisitions to holocausts to pogroms. That's been my family history. That's why I was born in America and California, to have opportunity that they never had. And so that is a huge part of me. But you read the Bible the same way, Old and New Testament, like the Christian. You read the Quran, like the Muslim. You read all of these books, and even many other books that are not religious texts, spiritual texts, and you learn from them, and you just are who you are. So Selassie I see as a guiding light, and true words and works of Selassie only you know, only the individual knows in their heart. You don't go by books of what people say about Selassie. You go by what Selassie said himself. And Selassie's the teachings goes back to just the oneness of life. I believe that we're all living Christ. Yeah, so if people want to worship Jesus, the same as worshiping you, the same as worshiping anybody. Selassie, you can worship everybody. Because we are all living and walking in the way of Christ and can do more and can have more love and more compassion in our life. And that is what Jesus was preaching. I'm not Christian, so I'm not going around talking about any type of messianic Messiah business. I believe that humanity is the living Messiah. And it's up to us to be reborn and come again. And that's what we're all waiting for. Religion is not a good thing. It's a struggle for my life to be like, okay, I'm going to live strict Orthodox Jew, like my foreparents, But is that what we're doing here in 2017? Fasting and praying, or am I better to tour the world and try and touch people with a new message? And the message is not about a chosen people, not about give your life to a Messiah and you'll see some pearly white gates in kingdom of heaven, not about one and only prophets, not about any type of battle of good and evil. There's a battle of good and evil within everybody as well. So to me, it's everything that makes up who I am and my spirituality. But the backbone of me is Rasta. And that Rasta is equal rights and justice for everybody. Black, white, that's it. More love, show more love in this time.
Ja.
Ja.
Ja. Ja. Ja. Rastafari.
To finish, some questions about reggae music, because you speak a lot about conscious reggae.
Sure.
Can you imagine, I would say tolerate, but it's not the good word, a reggae without that conscious part?
I can't, because that's what reggae music is to me. You know, my reggae music is Bob Marley, Burning Spear, Israel Vibration, and for me, because of that, people who listen to reggae, who know Bob Marley, which is most people who listen to reggae, understand that reggae music has a message, and it's carrying on the thoughts and the concerns of the conscious freedom fighters of the world. So that to me is what I really want to be a part of, and what reggae music needs to keep. It's not rock music or hip hop music or funk music or soul music or jazz music or this. It's reggae music. Reggae music is that one drop, right? Which is very different than today's reggae, modern reggae. And reggae music has a point. I used to say, even some groups in America say, well, I've gone through Jamaica and these places and seen poverty and the struggle from its beginnings. So, but people in California say, I just sing about ganja and I sing about surfing, and because that's what I know. I said, it's good to sing about what you know in your life, but you also know that there is a bigger struggle happening. Whether you grew up in the most severe poverty or not, you know it exists. And the only way to change it is to let that voice be heard. So we as reggae singers, conscious singers, you can't be conscious unless you're singing about the future and about what Rasta would say, betterment, positive change. So that to me is essential for reggae music.
Two last questions. You've been through this line between jazz and reggae all over the time with Groundation, and even today we can see that with the solo music. And where in the next years or in the big future, where do you want to explore now in terms of music? Do you feel a new need of exploring a new part?
Yeah, honestly, I feel a new rebirth in that exploration. People listen to the music and then say, oh, it's jazz and reggae, But for me, who wrote the music, I had not a phone at the time. I had something, an old tape recorder, and was just writing songs. Later to find out that it's an odd time, odd harmonic, different type of thing, writing it, recording it, rehearsing it with the band, and people say, oh, it's jazz and it's this, but it's just me. My father's a jazz piano player. I grew up playing jazz in high school. Jazz is a big part of it. Went to university for jazz, where I met the other players of Groundation, formed the group, and that to me is, the Groundation is still the struggle, is still the road and the tree that is still being born into new music. So I have a lot of bigger and better and larger concepts and ideas within Groundation that I'm still looking to explore. And for me, it was like doing the solo career from when I started years ago. It was a way for me to do straight roots reggae, which is, my music. My father's music was jazz, my music was reggae, but really touched me when I was small, So to play roots reggae, to write simple songs, choruses, 3 minutes, 4 minute songs, and to record with these legends in Jamaica and learn so much. That's, if somebody wants pure reggae, then they have Harrison Stafford, Professor, solo work. If somebody wants to go on a trip into the fusion world, Groundation, and we're going to go further. Because I have the works that is straight roots reggae, Groundation can be free to explore further. There's a lot more to explore I just don't know if the young people or if music lovers are ready to hear it. Because most of the time, like McDonald's, people digest easy, simple things. You know, it might not be good for them, but it's what hits them. And when you have long songs and through composed things, it's much more demanding on the listener. But I have a lot more ideas within the Groundation. And that's the mission, because it's that funk, soul, jazz, reggae, you know? It's that fusion.
I would like to thank you for one special thing tonight. It's because with two friends of mine, we've been hiking through Corsica during 3 weeks, and each and every night, at night, we were just going out of the tent, just being under the stars. And we were playing one song, it's Groundation chant. And
wow.
It's very important for us, so I thank you for
and
tonight,
we never play it.
Yes, Groundation
chant. That was something that I was wanting to play.
Sure.
We've never played.
It was first time for the.
I think it was the first time for Europe.
Wow.
Period. Yeah.
Great.
Maybe as Groundation we played it once or twice, maybe. 10 years ago.
In the old Groundation?
Yeah.
So I'm a very lucky one.
Yeah.
Sure.
And you know, tonight I was able to have fun with Rockamovia and different things and play songs that were never played in Europe, you know? Because that's my music too, you know, and I feel it. It's part of the story. Just like playing Satan Let Go from the Not to Will Fly Again project, you know? I'm able to draw on all of the projects, which makes it really fun for me and show different sides of the music. And the Handcart Band is a great band. So musically, we got it locked.
Yeah. As Rising Tide is, because it's very musically good as well.
Yeah, man. Great musicians.
Even if we miss you and we... Thank you very much, Harrison.
Yeah, I'm not there for sure. Something definitely missing.
It was a pleasure to have you on the Musicodrome. And
yeah, you know
thank
it.
You
My pleasure.
For this amazing show and play Groundation chant for all those.
Give thanks. Yeah. Yes, my brother.
Even if I am only one more day, I live my life right.